Welcome to our In Focus discussion tonight on the shortage in Utah foster care families. According to the Utah Department of Child Protective Services, they received more than 1,400 new foster care cases in 2020. Overall, there were a total of more than 4,200 children who were in foster care during some point in the year. However, there are still a number of them who have yet to be placed with a family because there isn't enough foster parents to keep up with the need in Utah. Kicking off our conversation tonight is Kay Lotulele, a behaviorist and foster parent. And Kay, thank you so much for being here tonight and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I understand, so you are a foster parent. What made you decide to become one?
You know, our family has always been involved with youth most of our lives, and as my siblings have taken interest in it, I was right there with them. I've always had a passion of wanting to make a difference in children's lives. I
absolutely love that. How do you navigate raising your biological children versus raising foster children?
I actually have raised 10 children, and so it wasn't any different almost. I felt like being able to expose my children to helping children at a young age, it was a lot easier for them to be able to adjust the way that they needed to love these children in our homes as well.
When you say 10 children at once, or like throughout the course of your life?
Throughout the course of my life.
But even then, I would not be surprised if you had raised 10 children at one time because you're just so amazing. What kinds of problems do foster children or teens generally have? What types of children are typically waiting to be placed in foster care?
They usually come with emotional problems, mental health issues. They come from very difficult and hard places. And that's where foster homes really need to kind of step out of their comfort zone to help them meet those needs. They do have a lot of challenges that they come with, different issues depending on their upbringing.
These are children that were taken out of situations where they had to be separated from their families. So sometimes there are abuse, right? Maybe domestic violence that are involved, which is how it connects with these emotional and mental health problems that can come with them. Now, you are also a behaviorist. How does that give you the perspective or maybe the understanding that you need to navigate those complex emotional or mental health issues that they may experience?
Well, you know, as a behaviorist, I'm able to help them identify that these are some of the difficult things that they've experienced, some traumatic experiences that they've experienced are not their fault. And those are things that I can assist them with and help them identify why they react the way that they react. And then we give them strategies and techniques that they can cope and build their skill level of being able to cope with their lives.
I wonder, Kay, on days that are maybe very, very difficult for you and a foster child, how do you keep your head up or chug through those difficult moments?
Personally, it's through a prayer, to be honest, to be totally honest. I have a great support system. My children and my husband are great supports. When we made the decision to do this, it had to be a decision from everyone. It had to be yes from everyone.
So your own biological children said, yes, Mom, like yes. I'm willing to bring in foster siblings as well and be a part of this process.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are there different experiences that foster children versus foster teens might have in the system? And I'm thinking about, like, maybe our foster children, do they have a higher chance of being placed with a family versus teens? Are there different experiences when it comes to age groups?
Oh yeah, a lot of the younger children coming in are more likely to be able to be placed in families. They're younger and they're able to learn at a younger age and to make those changes, those behavioral changes and the experience that they've had it's a lot easier to work with the younger ones because you can see the difference in their behaviors. Whereas the older teens, they're a little bit more challenging because they've come and they've patterned their lives in a different way that you would have, as a parent, would have parented your own children. And so we have to receive training and different ongoing supports through the different agencies that we go through to be able to remember that these children it's no fault of their own that they're in the situations that they are. So it is a little bit more challenging for the older ones because they have different issues that they're dealing with. Developmental issues are very different, such as they're going through experiences of dating and wanting a relationship and being able to meet their needs, whether they're having drug issues or substance abuse issues. Those are very different from a younger child.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason why we're here tonight is to talk about the shortage of foster parents and families. What would you say to someone who maybe is contemplating or considering the decision, but they're kind of hesitant about it? Maybe they're scared because of stigmas or stories that they've heard. What would you say as someone who's done it for quite some time?
You know, I think the biggest there's a stigma that goes around thinking that foster parents is just really difficult and hard, but I feel like a lot of the fear is taken away as you get the training, the appropriate training, to receive the supports, and there are a lot of supports that the state provides through these different agencies. I feel like those have helped me remember why I do what I do, and to help me understand and to revisit all the time to be able to validate their feelings as they're humans, they're children that deserve a second chance
in their lives. Yeah, I can tell this is something that means so much to you, and the big takeaway that I'm getting from you tonight is you're not alone. If you sign up to become a foster parent, you will have a support system, you will have resources, and it's okay not to have all the answers right away.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Exactly.
You've been hearing from Kay Lotulele, a behaviorist and foster parent. And Kay, thank you so much for being here tonight and providing your perspective. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us for our second In Focus discussion tonight on the shortage in Utah foster care families. Up next in our discussion are Langi Sofele, Executive Director of Open Arms Youth and Adult Services, and Charles Hosea, Executive Director of Brighter Futures, and both are local foster care agencies. Thank you both so much for being here tonight to talk to us about this important subject. How are you two?
Good, thank you.
Doing great.
Awesome. We want to start with getting to know more about your organizations. Charles, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about Brighter Futures, the background, history, what you do over at Brighter Futures?
We actually started back in 1994 as an agency called United Community Services. And from there, we stemmed off and started Brighter Futures in the year 2000. But as an agency, we provide services for kids age 0 on up to 21 in the foster care system, but as well as providing those services in such a way that we provide a lot of support to the families. So we do a lot of in-home services to assist the families to support the transitional phase in where the child may eventually return home.
I love that. What about you, Langi? Can you tell us more about Open Arms?
Absolutely. So we had broken off from Brighter Futures. We are a family. I have 8 children who all work at the agency. We are a placement agency, so we do we're looking for families constantly that are able and stable to take care of children. We train them. We work with them in being able to give them the support that they need and helping them along the way as they take in children. It's been a great journey.
I love that this is a family affair. And obviously you all have such a passion and it's so rewarding to you all. Thank you for sharing both of your stories with us. So we are here to talk about the fact that there is a shortage of Utah foster care families. Any way you could put this in perspective for us using data and numbers?
Well, back in the data we have from 2020, as of this time last year, we're looking, basically we had about 2,700 kids in foster care and 1,400 families. That's definitely a shortage in terms of more kids who aren't able to be placed in families in a timely manner. And part of that is a good economy results, but also during the pandemic. Families were reluctant on taking children in, but also the increased number of children in the system, coming into the system, there was the shortage or the inability to meet the needs of those numbers that were coming in.
Wow. I was going to ask how the pandemic impacted foster care, so I'm glad you answered that question for us. I'm wondering, do foster parents get a choice on which child that they take in? Is there a matching system of some sort?
Absolutely. Every family that comes in and puts in an application, we see what their family looks like, how many children they have, what ages of children they have as biological children, and then we see what they would do best with. They give us a preference, whether they want younger kids or they want teenagers, and then from there we do the training, and then we give them our suggestions as well of what we think that they would work best with, and then we go from there. And as we get children in, we always are open to letting them know, this is what we have available. Would you be willing, and are you open to taking that in? So they always get to choose and see what they work with best.
And that's a lot of work on all of you to be matchmakers in a sense, not in the sense of romantic partnership, but in families,
yes,
with parents and children. And that can be quite the daunting task too. Do foster children ever get to see their biological parents while they're in the care of the system?
Oh, it's definitely part of the process. In order for the child to maintain a sense of connection to the family life and to home, the family has to go through what they need to go through as far as treatment planning and requirements to be able to have the children return home to them. But a critical part of that process is being able to see and communicate and have contacts with the child according to the order of the court and according to the team that is basically working with the family to enable them, support them, and provide the opportunity for the family to successfully return these children home.
And that's very comforting. It also gives both of them and their biological parents that incentive and that goal that, you know, just keep it up, and one day there might be a chance of reunification. How long, or is there an average time that foster children stay in the system? And do we know if it's very often, if they switch families or go through multiple families while they're in the system?
You know, they're given a time frame for reunification. Usually there's a year, but we don't ever know how long. It just depends on what the team wants or what the family is requiring for them to return home, or what the child is responding to in his treatment. And what the team does is they do their best in every way to meet that child's needs in reunification, whether it's reunification or adoption or long-term foster care or independent living. That's our goal, is to meet that goal.
And I bet it's so rewarding when you finally do get to that point, and that probably is one of the reasons that keeps pushing you all to do the work that you do. What happens to a teen that maybe ages out of the system and never ends up getting placed within a family? Is there long-term consequences or risks that can come with that?
You know, the hope is that there are programs within not only the agency, trying to provide the means to where these children are learning and acquiring independent living skills, life skills, relationship skills, many tools that are being provided to assist them in that process, because we know that's a reality, that when they do leave the system, we're hoping that they wouldn't end up, as the statistic shows, being homeless as they age out of the system. But our best effort, and even with our agency and the families, we ensure and we help the families to feel connected, that even when these children leave, they still can feel that there's a connection or there's a home that they still belong to, even though they've aged out of the system.
I can just imagine this foster community that you had. It's grown so much, because as you said, you want to create a facility where they can continue coming back for support, and so that foster family that you've all helped over the decades has just kept growing. Longy and Charles, hold that thought. We have to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we'll continue our In Focus discussion on the shortage of Utah foster care families. Welcome to our third and final In Focus discussion tonight on the shortage in Utah foster care families. Before the break, we were joined by Longy Sofele, Executive Director of Open Arms Youth and Adult Services, and Charles Hosea, Executive Director of Bridal Futures. And we pick up now right where we left off. Now I'm wondering, let's talk about foster parents in this segment. What type of parents typically become foster parents, or what are the benefits of becoming a foster parent?
You know, I have to tell you, I myself am still a foster parent of 34 years. The satisfaction that comes from learning from these children is amazing. It isn't anything that you can find in doing anything else. It is a fulfilling job opportunity, or a fulfilling part in having a family, someone who doesn't have family, individuals who want to learn how to take care of children, families who were less fortunate in not having all the children that they wanted, or just being able to learn how to deal with other children other than their, than their own. It is really takes a big heart to open their doors, open their hearts, and to be able to take in a child who is not only the child is going to learn from, but the family is going to learn more from the child than the child will from the family.
Well said. Now I'm wondering, what are the requirements to become a foster parent, or who can become a foster parent?
Well, the requirement's pretty simple. They need to be 21 years old. They need to either be a couple or single. They need to be healthy. So they need to meet the state requirements as far as passing a background check. They need to be able to have a desire to do the work. Many are not experienced, and so they come in and they go through the training process of becoming a foster parent. But as far as there's physical aspect of the requirement, having a room, but as Longy touched on, they need to have a bigger heart than the room that they actually have in their home.
So I could become a foster parent?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm learning right now. Can foster parents work outside of the home?
In some circumstances, yes, depending on the type of child or teens that is in the home. Some children require a lot more in regards to supervision, in regards to caregiving, whereas some are more independent, as an older child who's 17, 18 years old. So again, it depends.
Now, how many rooms does someone need to have in their home to become a foster parent?
I don't know if it's necessarily how many rooms, but that the child has a room, or if there is biological children in the home, they can share a room. So really it's whatever if you have biological children, if you don't, you just need to have space for the child, a room, a closet, a drawer.
Yeah, that's all. It's a simple requirement. They can be a renter, they can be a homeowner, but again, it's flexible in regards to the ability to have a single room for that child and a room for the couple or a single person.
I love that. Now, you two have both talked about the support and training that you provide to foster parents. Can you go a little bit more into that? What are some of the things that, maybe preview it, like let's say I want to sign up. What could I expect from attending one of these trainings for foster parents?
Well, definitely parenting training is one of those things. They learn about sexual abuse, the symptoms of those, anxiety, depression, cultural issues. There is a variety of things that deals with the mental health area, the emotional area, the child development, trauma, separation, anxiety, as I mentioned, attachment disorder. So there's a whole list of areas that are required, but yet the training process is pretty thorough to help a family and equip the family with the tools needed so that they can actually carry out the work and pull out the tools that's needed when they're dealing with a specific child with a specific behavior.
Now, as Kay mentioned in our previous segment with her, is that there are hard and difficult days. For a foster parent that may be struggling, right? This is new waters that they're navigating. What kind of support is available for those who may be having a difficult time?
We also have behaviorists who work with the foster families and the child. We have therapists on hand that works directly with the child. We have day programs that the children can come to and take part of at the agency. We also have parenting classes that are available. You know, some of the classes that the children can take is behavior management classes. So we have all different kinds of programs that will support the family in helping to keep the child into place.
But we also operate on a 24/7 on-call for these children and families, because we know that crisis doesn't happen just during business hours. And so on that basis, we operate 24/7 to support our families, because we know these children come from hard places and that they need to be navigated, guided, and steered through some of these crises that the parents are dealing with.
Wow, well said. Okay, we have to wrap it real quick. If somebody is watching this at home and they want to learn more, possibly become a future foster parent, where can they get more information?
Go ahead.
Open Arms Youth and Adult Services, we're open, South Salt Lake, and you can look at our website to get more information, and
Brighter Futures, and we're also online.
Thank you so much. You've been hearing from Langi Sofele, Executive Director of Open Arms, and Charles Hosea, Executive Director of Brighter Futures. Thank you both so much for being here tonight and just sharing the work that I can tell you love and are so passionate about.
thank you.
Thank you.
And don't forget, we'd love to hear from you about the show. We invite you to join our Facebook group by going to facebook.com/group/ABC4 In Focus, or you can send us an email, infocus@abc4.com.